Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15, 1769, in Ajaccio, Corsica, shortly after France acquired the island from the Republic of Genoa. He came from a minor noble family of Italian descent. His father, Carlo Bonaparte, was a lawyer and representative to the French court, and his mother, Letizia Ramolino, was known for her strength and resilience. Napoleon was sent to mainland France for education, attending military schools at Brienne and later the École Militaire in Paris. He trained as an artillery officer and graduated in 1785 at the age of 16, beginning his military career in a time of great upheaval. The French Revolution, which began in 1789, created both chaos and opportunity. Napoleon, an ambitious young officer, aligned himself with revolutionary ideals and quickly gained recognition. His first major opportunity came in 1793 during the Siege of Toulon, where he recaptured the port from Royalist and British forces, earning a promotion to brigadier general at just 24. In 1795, he saved the revolutionary government from a Royalist uprising in Paris, using a bold and brutal artillery tactic that earned him national fame and further promotion. In 1796, Napoleon was given command of the Army of Italy, where he led a highly successful campaign against Austrian forces. Despite being outnumbered and poorly supplied, he used speed, surprise, and maneuver to defeat multiple Austrian armies and establish French dominance in northern Italy. The Treaty of Campo Formio, which he helped negotiate, forced Austria to cede significant territory. In 1798, he launched a campaign in Egypt, aiming to strike British trade routes and expand French influence. He won the Battle of the Pyramids, but his fleet was destroyed by Admiral Horatio Nelson at the Battle of Anille. Cut off and facing setbacks, Napoleon left his army and returned to France in 1799, where he was welcomed as a hero. France at the time was governed by the Directory, a weak and unpopular regime. In November 1799, Napoleon staged a coup d'etat known as the 18 Brumaire, overthrowing the Directory and establishing the consulate. As first consul, he held the most power in France. He reformed administration, centralized authority, and created the Napoleonic Code, a coherent set of civil laws that remain influential today. In 1802, he declared himself consul for life, and in 1804, he crowned himself Emperor of the French in a lavish ceremony attended by Pope Pius VII. By placing the crown on his own head, he symbolized that his power came from himself, not the Church. As emperor, Napoleon led France into a series of conflicts known as the Napoleonic Wars. These wars reshaped Europe and were characterized by shifting alliances and grand military campaigns. In 1805, he defeated Austrian and Russian forces at the Battle of Austerlitz, one of his greatest victories. In 1806, he crushed the Prussian army at the battles of Jena and Auerstedt. He sought to weaken Britain through the continental system, an economic blockade intended to cut off British trade with Europe, but it largely failed and hurt continental economies more than Britain's. Meanwhile, Napoleon installed family members and loyalists as rulers in conquered territories, spreading revolutionary ideals but also facing growing resistance. In Spain, his intervention led to the brutal Peninsular War, where Spanish guerrillas and British forces under the Duke of Wellington bogged down French troops in a costly and unpopular conflict. Napoleon's turning point came in 1812, where he invaded Russia with a massive army of over 600,000 men. Although he won battles and reached Moscow, the city was set ablaze in the Russian winter, coupled with lack of supplies and relentless attacks, decimated his forces during the retreat. The failed Russian campaign emboldened his enemies. In 1813, a coalition of European powers defeated him at the Battle of Leipzig. By 1814, Allied forces marched into Paris. Napoleon was forced to abdicate and was exiled to the island of Elba in the Mediterranean. He escaped less than a year later and returned to France in what became known as the 100 Days. With popular support, he regained power, but the European powers quickly mobilized to stop him. His final stand came at the Battle of Waterloo on June 18, 1815, in present-day Belgium. Facing the Duke of Wellington and Prussian General Blücher, Napoleon suffered a decisive defeat. He was captured and this time exiled to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic under British guard. There, He lived out the last 6 years of his life in relative isolation, writing memoirs and justifying his actions. He died on May 5, 1821, likely from stomach cancer, though some have speculated about possible poisoning. Napoleon's legacy is complex and far-reaching. He was a military genius whose tactics are still studied, a reformer who modernized France, and a ruler who spread ideas of equality and meritocracy, even as he crowned himself emperor and waged destructive wars. The Napoleonic Code laid the foundation for modern legal systems in many countries. His life and actions altered the course of European history, and his image remains both admired and reviled, a symbol of both revolutionary energy and imperial ambition.